Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to take a look at a Husqvarna 350 chainsaw. The customer complaint is that the chain seems a little bit grabby. Now there's a number of reasons why this could happen. There could be a problem with the chain itself. Maybe it fell off at some point and some of the drivers are burred. Maybe the nose sprocket on the bar is the bearing's bad or worn. Or maybe there's a problem with the clutch drum. So let's dig into this one and see what's going on. First thing we want to do is remove the bar and chain. And for whatever reason, I'm struggling with it. I think the reason is that I'm trying to show it to you on the camera rather than just turning it around and having it face me and take it off of there. Now, one thing to remember when you're doing these repairs is that all this monkey business here takes time. So if you're a tech on the clock, you got to take that into consideration. So we finally got that pesky bar and chain out of the way. So what we want to do now is remove the clutch so we can take a look at the drum and the teeth that are on it. I've got the official Husqvarna tool for doing this. It makes it pretty easy. So here's our problem right here. Those teeth aren't supposed to have grooves in them. That's how far worn this is. Now there's a lot of reasons why this could happen. Could have the wrong chain on it. Maybe it's not oiling. Maybe they're running the chain too tight. Or maybe it's just that used up. So through the magic of editing, we cleaned up our mess under here. And now we're going to put a little bit of grease on the end of the crankshaft, and then we're going to grease that needle bearing. Now the interesting thing about the needle bearing is, and a lot of people don't even think about it, the bearing turns with the clutch and the drum while you're cutting. And the only time the bearing is really doing anything is at idle. When the chain is stopped and the drum is stopped, but the crankshaft is still turning. And the clutch is turning with the crankshaft. Make sense? So we're going to buzz our clutch back on. A couple light ugga-duggas because this will tighten up naturally. Got our new drum in place. Now we want to investigate the chain. See if he had the right one on there. The bar is marked with the size on it. We're just going to see if he had the right chain. I like to lay him out like this so I can count the links. So be quiet now, he's doing math. Looks like I got it hung up there at one point. I'm not counting along, but based on what I'm seeing there, it's probably a 72 driver, which isn't a factor in whether or not the sprocket wears, but this would be. This is a 325 pitch chain, and this saw would call for a 325 pitch chain on that bar, and it's 50 gauge. We're just confirming that. I want to make sure that the chain that I replace is the right chain for that bar. Now here's another one of these situations. You know, if you look at this video, 2/3 of it is messing around with the bar and chain, and the actual repair was just a little chunk right in the middle there, right? So it's just a bunch of time. It all adds up. We got our new chain in place. We have to make sure that the brake is released before we can push it over the clutch drum. And then we have to play a game where we look for the proper hardware that I took off. But in this case, the stuff I took off of there was something that the homeowner had cobbled on there. They weren't the standard flanged bar nuts. He had some flat washers and regular nuts. And I'm just looking around to, yeah, I'm kind of realizing now what I had taken off of there. I may not have looked that close when I buzzed them off, but we're going to put proper bar nuts on here. We'll get this chain tensioned up, snug down. You know, it's kind of not a very glorious job. I mean, just mounting up a bar and a chain, but if you don't do it right, you know you're going to have problems. So you take your time and make sure you got the right tension on it. Make sure that if you're running a rim drive, that you actually have the chain in the rim drive. Because more than once I've seen a customer come by complaining about a chain or a clutch problem, and it's just the chain running alongside the rim drive instead of in the rim drive. All right, let's see if it runs and if it's going to oil. There we go, we got a little streak of oil coming out. And our chain is nice and oily. So his problem wasn't from lack of oil, at least not recently, maybe at some point in the saw's life. But when I was running it, it didn't feel like it was getting full throttle. And it's not uncommon for this throttle rod on these models to bend. I mean, look how much extra play I'm not getting out of this trigger. So we're just going to take a broad pliers and kind of clamp down in two different spots on the 90-degree bends just to lengthen that rod and get our full throttle out of here. So that's all I got for you on the Husqvarna 350 clutch drum replacement. Thanks for watching. Later.